Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to show you how to make a snail pull toy. Let's get into it.
This should be fun.
This pull toy has been on my project list for quite some time now, so I figured it's about time I get around to building it. I couldn't find any full plans for this toy, so I'm just going off some pictures that I found online and figuring it out as I go along. I started with a 1 1/4 inch dowel and cut it into 4 4-inch long pieces. On the bench sander, I rounded over 2 sides on both ends of 2 of the dowels and did the same thing to one end on the other 2 pieces. On one piece, I sanded the other end down completely round for the head, and on the 4th piece, I sanded the end to a slanted point for the tail. Maybe this layout will give you a better idea of what I'm talking about.
I see it now.
With a 1/4 inch Forstner bit, I drilled a hole in the flat side of each dowel 3/8 inch down from the end. I did this on all the ends of the dowels except for the 2 ends that will be the head and tail of the snail. Then over at the scroll saw, I began cutting out the hinges that will attach the pieces together. The center hinge will be a simple half lap style, while the other 2 will be slotted. I used some files to refine and smooth the cuts. With the 4 body pieces done, it was time to move on to the snail shell, aka the wheels. I started with a scrap piece of wood that was about 5/8 of an inch thick. The good thing about always having a cup of coffee with me in the shop is that I have a perfect circle template for snail shell wheels that happens to be exactly 3.5 inches in diameter. After cutting the wheel out, I drilled a 1/4 inch hole 1 inch from the edge of the wheel. It's really important to have the hole drilled off center because that's what will give movement to the snail toy. I made a total of 2 of these wheels, and I also made 2 more sets, each smaller than the last. I used my router to put a roundover on one side of the wheel, but I wasn't satisfied with the size of the roundover, so I stepped up to a bigger bit. After painting each set of wheels a fun color, I glued them on top of each other using Titebond's Quick and Thick. While those dried, I moved on to the body, painting it a cool blue. I assembled the 2 slotted hinges with some 1/4 inch dowel, super glue, and activator, making sure not to get any glue in the center area of the hinge. After cleaning up the dowels and touching up the paint, I started the main assembly. I put a washer between the body and each wheel to create a little space and help the toy move more smoothly. The snail definitely needs those eyes or antenna or whatever. I don't know what they are. I'm not a snailologist.
Obviously.
To make these, I used some 3/16 inch dowel and drilled out the center of some small wooden beads and glued them together. I got these wooden beads in a variety pack offline. I'll leave a link to them in the description below. I slanted them quite a bit when I was attaching them to the head because I thought it would look funny, and I used some paint pens to add some eyes and a mouth. Let me know in the comments below if the eyes are better slanted or should I have put them straight up and down. Lastly, I screwed a small eyelet to the head of the snail and attached a piece of colorful paracord as the pull string. Alright, our snail pull toy is finished. Let's go over a few things real quick. Starting with the length of the toy, I don't think it looks bad, but I do think that the body is a little longer than it needs to be. If I made one of these again, I would probably remove ½ an inch from each section, taking off a total of about 2 inches from the whole length of it. Another thing is the eyes. Originally, I thought it would look funny if I kind of spread them out like this, but now that I'm starting to think about it, that maybe it would have looked better if I just kept them straight up and down. Let me know in the comments what you think. I guess it would be an easy fix. I could always just cut them off flush, re-drill the hole straight up and down, and then just put them in straight up and down. Another thing that you might have noticed is this is not the black marker that I drew the mouth on with originally. I actually went back and took the Dremel and ran across where I had drawn out the mouth because I didn't really think it was very visible, but my freehand with the Dremel on this round surface was not very good, so it ended up being a little rough looking. So I'm not really sure if I should have just left well enough alone, or maybe I should try to clean this up a little bit. Lastly, you probably noticed this on the end of the paracord. I just took some beads that we already had and just put them on here for a handle. I think it gives something nice to grab onto for any small child, and it's actually kind of just cool rather than just a stick of wood. All right, well, there's another project ticked off the list. I hope you really enjoyed this project. Thank you very much for watching. Be safe and have a great day.